It's a beautiful July 23rd day in the year 2011 at the Oahe Dam. You can see a beautiful blue sky here, the nice green grass. We're above the dam here at Oahe, and above Pierre and Fort Pierre. And as you can see, the river looks quite nice. It's a little bit breezy today, but not too bad really. It's a slight breeze, it's warm. You can see a few fishermen along the shoreline, some sunbathers as well. This happens to be real near the visitor center and the Oahe Mission School. Here we see the water below the Stilling Basin. This is on the Stilling Basin Road, looking back towards the Stilling Basin tunnels themselves. You can see quite a cloud of water and water mist, a few seagulls. We also earlier were able to see a tree fall into the river here. The roots had been exposed by the continual fast running water, and as we begin to drive closer to the Stilling Basin itself, we begin to hear the sound of the water. It's quite noticeable the closer you get to the water itself. Here you can see the flow of water from the outlet tunnels themselves. Much of the coastline there has been carved back a little bit. It's not real dramatic, obviously, but you can see the effects of the water along the shoreline. There were a lot of folks this particular day walking down to the Stilling Basin to get a little closer look. This road itself has been closed to vehicle traffic. Here you see the water flow from one of the tunnels itself. Quite a lot of force, and it's really quite loud when you're close to the tunnels themselves. The tunnel closest to the west bank has been closed because of erosion. Prolonged water flow began to erode, and you can see here right next to the cement embankment itself has begun to erode. And so this outlet itself has been closed. So that has reduced the water flow downstream a little bit. Here we got a real close look at the water coming out of the Stilling Basin tunnel. This is the tunnel closest to the east side. You can see its size relative to the folks that are walking there on top of the tunnel. Pretty incredible to be this close to it and feel the power of that water. As you drive into Pierre, you begin to see the sandbagging that's been done. It's kind of a strange sight, kind of a strange feeling as you drive through the down the various streets in Pierre and Fort Pierre to see these sandbags. Luckily, water has not risen high enough in this area that these businesses have been affected. Well, they've been affected. Obviously, they've had to sandbag in preparation for what might happen. We drive a little closer to the bank of the Missouri here. You can see an embankment that's been built, and there's a lot of earth that's been moved to help protect the various areas of both Pierre and Fort Pierre. Of course, most of these areas are restricted. They don't want people obviously close to the water. It's flowing quite rapidly, and for obvious reasons they don't want people close to the water. You can't really see it here, but there's a walkway that's close to this bank that's completely underwater, and there's some trees that normally are completely out of the water on the bank that are nearly submerged. This is an area that is south of the highway. This is a gazebo. There's two gazebos and a walkway here that are normally obviously exposed. You can walk out here under normal circumstances. You can walk out and actually stand on those gazebos and look down at the water, and obviously the water is much higher. You can see the embankment here that's been built to hold the river back. A business here close to the bank with an embankment, and also lots of sandbagging and plastic to help protect that building. The Bad River, which if you go upstream from Fort Pierre, that has receded, but at Fort Pierre itself, where the Bad River meets the Missouri, that water is backed up and really quite high. Here you see an embankment. This is where the Bad River meets the Missouri River in Fort Pierre. That embankment's been built to help to hold that water back. And here we see a walk bridge that is normally quite a distance above the river. That bridge crosses into a part that's been closed in Fort Pierre. When you drive up the Bad River and you see the what may be one of the oldest Indian trails in central South Dakota, you can see that the Bad River itself has receded significantly, but there is evidence of how high the water was when you look at the banks of the Bad River. Again, it's still very, very green in this area. They have been getting quite a lot of rain, which they really don't need. In fact, that's been causing a little bit of extra concern for the folks of this area. You can see along the banks there the evidence of where that water was at one time. It has receded. This is upstream from the Bad River and Missouri, where the Bad River and Missouri meet. This river, obviously a small river, begins sort of by Phillip and Midland and in that area. And so it's been an interesting trip to Pierre today.